This SOLIDWORKS tutorial will cover drawings. To create a new drawing, you go to File, New. If you see this window, you can click on Advanced and Files to select the Drawing 450 template and click OK. When you are prompted with this pop-up, I believe it defaults to standard sizes, which are European options. I prefer to go to custom sheet size and type in the values to match your presentation or the sheet you intend to print on. So in this case, I'm going to type in 11 IN for the width and 8.5. You have to specify inches, otherwise it will default to millimeters and be tiny. And once you create your sheet, you will be prompted with this property dialog, which is asking you which model you want to pop into your drawing here. If for some reason you don't see that, you can always go to Insert, Drawing View, and Model, and the same pop-up will be here. If your file is already open, it should exist within this box. If it's not open, I have no files open right now, you can click Browse and navigate to your file and double click on it. So now I'm ready to place an image of my SOLIDWORKS part file. The property dialog on the left is the settings. It always defaults to the front view here. Some other things of note, this auto start projected view, I'll show you how that works once I start placing. You can select the display style. It defaults to these hidden lines removed, which is my preference, but you could also add shading if you wanted. The scale is really important. Whenever possible, I like to do a full scale print, especially in the middle of a design. It's a good idea to get an analog check. Sometimes you'll be off proportion because you're in CAD world. I've made things that are like just a little too big or too small, and often that's easily caught with just a one-to-one flat print. But you can see here it won't fit in this orientation. So I'm going to go ahead and check half scale there. Yeah, and those are the main settings. So when we're ready to start placement, I'm going to click, you can click wherever you want in the sheet to place your first image. Now you can see the sketches are coming through, including the reference image. So to hide my sketches from my model, I'm going to hit Alt and V to hide those. And now here's this like auto projected feature. You can see when I hover below the bottle, it gives us the bottom view, and above the bottle, it gives us the top, so on and so forth. Actually, if you go diagonally, you should be able to get an isometric as well. But just for the tutorial, we only need front and top. When you're happy with your images, you can click check. Again, drawings are not only good for kind of that one-to-one gut check, like an analog check of your work, but they're also used for sort of engineering drawings, for production or communication with other people. So now we're going to add dimensions. You can simply do that by hitting D for dimension, and it brings up the dimension tool. And just for the tutorial, we'll just give it an overall height dimension. So I'm going to click on this bottom line. I'm going to mouse wheel in and click on this top line. And now we have the height of our bottle by clicking off to the side here and clicking Escape to get rid of the dimension tool. You can see it defaults into millimeters. We can change that by clicking on the gear icon. And once this pops up, you can go to Document Properties, click on Units, and select the units you want here. So in this case, inch, pound, second. Click OK, and that should update. If for some reason you wanted to change this after the fact, you can always click on the image. Here you can play with the look of it. For me, I prefer one of these two. The lines on kind of show it a little more clearly than just this kind of shaded view. You can always change the scale. Now, if you wanted to suddenly print one-to-one scale, but it doesn't fit on your sheet, you can edit your sheet format by clicking in this gray area so that you just have your tree here. And I believe if you right-click on Sheet and go to Properties, you can change the values here after the fact. But for this instance, I want it on 8.5 by 11 and at half scale. Again, you can always drag and reposition these how you see fit. When you're happy with that, you can save your file by going to File, Save. It's asking about updating the drawing. I'm just going to click Yes, and go ahead and name it whatever you want. It's a new file type, SLD DRW. And now from here, you could either print it directly by going File, Print. You just want to make sure that you go to Page Setup. And so in this case, it's 8.5 by 11, so letter size at landscape, so you want to make sure those match. I would say the key thing is making sure the scale is at 100%. You don't want to do scale to fit, especially if you're doing a one-to-one print, because otherwise if it's scale to fit, it will shrink it slightly. So just make sure that you always have this at 100%. If for some reason the print isn't working for you from SolidWorks, you can always go to File, Save As, and from here you have an option to save it as a PDF or a JPEG. And that way you can, or any option here, and that way you can place it into a presentation. So those are SolidWorks drawings.